Greetings all. It hasn't rained in a while, even though the clouds are there. They slowly drift by, make it appear as though the rain is arriving, and then none arrive. But that's the way the world is. That's the way our earth is. That's the way the universe is. And you have to be able to read the clouds. Some people can look at those clouds and say, yep, not gonna rain. Not today. And the unknown person who don't know, the person without knowledge will look and say, but the clouds, the sky is dark. It has to rain. And the people with knowledge are normally, or that kind of knowledge, are normally the elders. And when I say elders, I don't mean, some people, if I say elders to some people, they will say, oh, this old man or old woman, 70 or 80 years old, a grandfather or a grandmother, great-grandmother, great-grandfather. Nope. There's a mixture of age and knowledge. Because you can't learn certain things until you reach a certain age. Even though you are born with certain knowledge. We are born with knowledge. Let me make that clear to you. Though you will go to school, and they will teach you, they will tell you this is a triangle, this is a square, this is an oval, it's an octagon. As you grow in age, you learn that that's a tree. What are you looking at in front of us? But there's some things that you know already. And unless you get taught what people call the education, that knowledge will not be suppressed. The education that you get in school suppresses the knowledge that you are given from your parents. And the knowledge that you're given from your parents, that was suppressed by the same education system. So we've gone through right now 10 in the Americas or the Western world. Almost 10 cycles of that education. And that education was to turn us from a natural person to an unnatural. It's like a person who trains a tree, a bonsai tree, for instance. When you tend in a bonsai garden, you're training the trees that grow in that garden. And the training doesn't just begin with when you were born. It began with our case when our parents were born. Our parents were brought to the Americas or wherever you want to call your place where you live. Education was changed. The latest version is what they call the Prussian system. You get taught to work for a corporation. Why I began here is because education is one of the stools, the legs of the stool upon which the system sits. Nevertheless, we are faced with, as I was stating, the school system takes from us the knowledge that's implanted into us, or it took from us. Now we become what people will call a robot today. We are the original robotic. Our brain is taught to conform to task. And these events occur not really occur, but transformation happens with technological change. There was a time when people saw the wind as either the adversary or the protector, which we call the God or the devil. Not we, the Caucasian people. When they translated the old books. With these technological changes, transform the world around us and transform us. Now, farming is one of the things that transform not only the earth but the human psyche, the knowledge that we are born with. The knowledge that we are born with, we call it innate knowledge. Similar to birds, building a house, and people don't see that as knowledge anymore. while the bird can navigate, can build a nest, and fly away from that nest, and then find that nest after flying 10, 15 miles away. People don't see that as knowledge. See, we have roads, and today we have Google Maps. Where does the birds get that? But anyway, with the coming of farming, where people, and when I say farming, I don't mean your garden. I'm talking about you have acres and or kilometers of land that's prepared to plant one specific commodity, seed, or whatever you want to call it, tree, flower, even fish. That's what I'm talking about. When we move from just what they call the little tribes in South America, they have gardens. They produce food. They plant a little garden, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet in one part of the area where they live, and they move to another part and plant another garden. Different crops plant in each garden. But now you had the Caucasians come along and cleared all that land, cut all the trees down, plant soybeans. Change. Today, we are going from the human robot to the mechanical robot. People might look at it as, they call it artificial intelligence, but there's nothing artificial about it. When that robot's thinking for itself, performing tasks, just like you who go to school and learn how to perform that task and do it automatically. What do you think? You call yourself human, you call him a robot. Oh well. Today, another transformation. The world as you know it is gone. We're moving towards what they call a multipolar world. And where instead of one or two or three, you have maybe 4 or 5 leaders. You know, you might have Africa separated into 2 parts, maybe 3. China and East Asia, and Southern Asia, Russia in the north, India in between, and I don't know what's going to happen between India and Iran, that struggle that's going to come. Then you have the Europeans who, the Germans just stepped up again and said that we're going to take care of Europe. And every time the Germans, the Germanic tribe, have done that, it resulted in war, lots of death. And right now America transformed Europe into that same arena that caused World War One and Two. And guess who they're going after, just like they were doing between, well, the time Catherine the Great united, well, pretty much, yeah, let's say united, the banner. And because it wasn't only her that did it, but you probably know Catherine better than all the others. You might know Frederick or Peter. Anyway, they left now to whether or not they want to fight Russia or join Russia, because Europe has very little resources that they can use to compete in today's atmosphere. They have to get it from Africa. That's why they keep trying to keep Africa the way it is. And the Caucasian leaders in Africa, they might look like Africans, but they are Caucasian. And we have to remember that as Africans. The people who have control of Africa, you call them Mobutu and all of the other people. The Caucasian mind supplanted the mind of their fathers long ago. So it's for you to wonder why they act the way they do and not see it. If you had the knowledge of prior to slavery, you would see it, that their mental state, their actions will tell you that. You got Dumboya, who was led from France, who was a Frenchman. Dumboya. You got the other one in Guinea, who was led by anybody who he thinks is going to. He's trying to talk to the Russians because he's seeing the changes coming. He thinks the Russians can protect him. But anyway, the world is going to be divided. And one of the things that you saw in Venezuela the other day is America just pulled back to the West. Totally. They're depending now on the two oceans to save or keep the what America has now. And when the U.S. went into Venezuela, you hear people talking about the silver market and the gold market. Those are the results of what happened. And that's the reaction to what happened. People trying to find places where they can park their wealth, hoping that when the changes that they see coming are complete, that they can go back to that area and recover most of their wealth, if not all. But the rest of that story is that America has retreated to what they call their backyard. And in your backyard, that's where your resources are. You can go out in the backyard and get everything that you want to stay alive. Everything that you're going to need to build those so-called computers and robots. America is going to need them in South America. Let that sink in, though. This is about gathering the resources and then start a war. Hopefully, when the war ends, nobody in the world will be able to get across that ocean to attack America, even in its weakened state. Because they're saying that China is going to be so weak that they can't get across the ocean to attack. And Russia is going to be so weak that they can't get across the ocean to attack. Europe, they don't count anymore because they can't make anything to compete with the rest of the world. Well, the giants. Africa, I made a video tell you before that if the world that we know destroys itself, then Africa will come up to the top. It's going to automatically just float to the top because it will survive. It's like the man who he don't have electricity, so from where he stands, if all the rest of the world don't have electricity now, just the numbers alone allow him to go control the rest of the world, bring the resources to Africa. When I say resources, not the minerals, but the knowledge. All Africans around the world have the knowledge of what to do, how to do it. And if they come home, Africa will be where China is today. And what Africa does will affect the whole world after that. So one of the things that America has got planned is to keep Africa from going anywhere. That's why you see the attack on Nigeria. It's no accident. The attack on Nigeria, just as an attack on Venezuela came. Go back and look at countries in Africa. They say, no, we don't want your people anymore. You gotta stay there. And there's a reason for that too. I can't tell you that now. But anyway, I hope you're watching these things carefully. Look at what I just told you. And see if it's fact or not. See if you can see where it's going. You know. You learned a lot in the West. And in your hand, that cell phone is irreplaceable. Not as to call somebody, but the knowledge that you can find in it. Your master let's see, one of the old masters wrote a book which he said he was talking about his life, and one of the things he mentioned is the halls of Amenti. People are struggling to figure out what the halls of Amenti is. Where is that? But it's the great halls of justice, and it exists. Many books have been written that copy some of the knowledge that is written upon the walls and the floors and the ceilings in the hall. But it's only written there, it's only written in the books. They only put a little bit in the books. like me writing one sentence of truth and then a whole page or paragraph of fiction, lies. But because I wrote that one paragraph of truth, it gives the appearance as the whole page or book is factual. Anyway, one of the biggest struggles that we have today is getting rid of the knowledge that we gained that is not useful. So that we can start doing for self, building for self, creating for self. Until we do that, change that knowledge. Begin to see that the knowledge that we gained was for a purpose other than to benefit us. Separate that from the knowledge that we need to benefit us, then we can move forward. For the knowledge is an adversary in our own heads. We carry that adversary in our own heads. Who we call the devil? Yep. Have a great day. Peace.